This is the Waupaca School District Board of Education meeting.
Okay, it is 5:16 according to my computer here, so we will get started first with President's comments. As usual, thank you everyone for making time to join us. Hopefully the connections are good and everybody can hear things well. If not, please let us know. I'm going to start rather than personal comments. Since it wasn't on the agenda, we did get an email from our student representative, Abby, and wanted to read that for everyone. Ron said that he had cleared it with Abby to present it this evening.
Yeah.
Okay. She writes as follows: overall, I think my fellow students and I are fairly optimistic about what is going on. There is, of course, frustration that we're missing out on our senior year, but more than that, I think the frustration which I am seeing is about the inability to do anything. From what I've heard, many people wish they could help. I don't know what we can do, but we are all brainstorming what to contribute. There was talk of doing a video for our teachers like they did for us, but nothing came of that. By the way, we all loved the video. I presume that is that the teachers had done. It was shared on our class of 2020 Facebook page to great acclaim. We have started a senior recognition page on Instagram to try to keep spirits up as we look at what our classmates are aspiring to accomplish with their futures. I think another aspect of the frustration which I am hearing is that no one knows what's going on. I've had multiple people reach out to me asking if I knew whether school was out for the year or not, but I didn't have an answer. There's apparently a rumor that we are going back in May. I don't know where this started or if there's any validity, but it is causing a lot of frustration. For anybody that might be listening, that is something that will be dictated, if you will, by the state. It's not a local decision. So any rumors that are out there would be just that, rumors. We have not heard, and we really can't project what the state might do with regard to schools. Going on with Abby's email, perhaps issuing a statement on Facebook or in some other public platform about what the plan is now would help clear up some confusion. I think that letting the seniors and community know that there is still a plan for a graduation ceremony will also be very helpful in boosting morale. Is this something I can tell them now, or do you want me to wait until the survey is released? Ron, I don't know if you're going to go a little bit into the survey, but
I was going to talk just briefly in my report about what we're talking about in regards to graduation preparation.
Then I won't steal any of your thunder on that. Going on, I know a lot of my friends are struggling with the transition to online schooling, even now after weeks of it being in effect. I think they're starting to get in the swing of things, however, and I don't know that there is much you as administration could do anyway on that aspect. The teachers are really making all the difference. The amount of effort and care they put into making sure we know what we're doing and making their lessons coherent is invaluable. They make sure that we know that they are only an email away if we have any questions or problems. We really are blessed with some amazing teachers, and they are truly shining in this uncertain and difficult time. It is clear that even with the slight problems encountered along the way, there is also a silver lining. As I said in the beginning, despite there being uncertainty and frustration about the happenings, there is also a lot of good. People are using technology to keep in touch with each other. The amount of video chats my friends and I have had is just as astronomical. And from what I'm hearing from others, it's the same across the board. People are strategizing and trying to think of ways to help people without inadvertently endangering them. I work in fast food, and the community has mostly become the most understanding and helpful that I have ever seen, despite the news reports you see all over of people acting crazy. Whenever a classmate comes through, we check up on each other, even if we aren't close at school. the communities come together in a way I hadn't ever considered possible before. I know we all have our own struggles with which we are going through, and there is no way I've encompassed all of them in this short email. But I think that generally this is the outlook many of my fellow students have at this time. Let me know if you have any specific or follow-up questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. And Abby finishes with a quote from Michael Mead, which goes as follows: "In these uncertain times, there can be great value in imagining a bit of star in each human soul. Not just that it gives some hope for humanity, but also because it points to an inner brightness that can light the way in dark times." Abby, thank you very much. Well said. And we echo your thoughts about our teachers and the community. With that, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Waupaca.
Aye.
Betty Mannion. Betty. Pat Fair.
Here.
Mark Polbisky.
Here.
Cindy Robinson.
Here.
Dale Felt.
Here.
Steve Johnson.
Here, and we'll circle back to Betty. You might be on mute.
I'm here.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is the looking for a motion to waive public comment section of the agenda and future agendas. We had a resolution at our last meeting to that effect. Until further notice, with the exception of today's agenda item 11G, the public hearing on requests for DPI waivers pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 118.38. Is there a motion?
So moved. This is Sandy.
Second, this is Mark.
And second by Mark. Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
Betty Mannion.
Yes.
Pat Fair.
Yes.
Mark Polbisky.
Yes.
Cindy Robinson.
Yes.
Dale Felt.
Yes.
Steve Johnson.
Yes. With that, we'll go to the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Make
I
a
will
motion.
make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mark,
Second.
second by Dale. Beat you by a little bit, Betty.
That's okay.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Steve Hackett.
Aye.
Betty Mannion.
Yes.
Pat Fair.
Aye.
Mark Polbisky.
Yes.
Cindy Robinson.
Yes.
Dale Felt.
Yes.
Steve Johnson.
Yes. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to the review of the meeting norms. Those were provided in the recent email in the packet. We'll just go through them very quickly here. Number one, be prepared, stay informed, listen to others, and be open to differing opinions and perspectives. Be inquisitive, reflective, and respectful. Checking our biases and agendas at the door, we will thoughtfully and objectively discuss the facts of the situation and not personalize issues or policies. Second item, ensure open and clear communications and maintain transparency. No surprises. Number three, remain objective, forward-thinking, and open-minded. Respect the opinions of others. Number four, maintaining professional relationships is key. Know and respect the roles and responsibilities of the board, governing, administration, tactical, and staff, operational. Number 5, start on time, end on time, and stay on task. Number 6, when a board decision is made, we accept and abide by the decision both publicly and privately. We accomplish more united than divided. And finally, honor and protect the expectation of confidentiality of all topics addressed and discussions held in closed sessions. With that, we'll move on to public comment. Do we have
That was
anyone?
waived. We waived that.
Okay,
We'll have the hearing.
for the hearing
Yeah.
portion? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes. I'll take a motion for all three, the March 24th, 2020 regular board meeting, the March 31 special board meeting, and the April 3 special board meeting. Is there a motion to take all three at the same time?
So move.
Second,
Steve, second, was that you, Sandy?
it was.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call?
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Betty Mannion,
Yes.
Pat Fair,
Aye.
Mark Polbisky,
Aye.
Sandy Robinson,
Yes.
Dale Belt,
Yes.
Steve Johnson.
Yes. With that, we'll move on to communications and Ron, the district administrator's report, please.
Yeah, we've completed 3 weeks of our continuation of learning plan. And it's been 4 weeks since the COVID-19 pandemic started to impact our educational system while we were on spring break. And we want to give thanks to our students, our parents for continuing to work in our remote learning format. We keep hearing positive feedback from many of them. We also want to thank our staff, especially the custodians, maintenance, and food service personnel. Our teachers are doing a terrific job, especially under the circumstances of being thrown into a virtual learning situation. We know that the continuation of learning looks different and that not everyone's home learning environment is the same. Our desire is to still prepare our students for what's next. Our fourth graders will start next year as fifth graders. The same desire to provide a quality education that we had pre-COVID-19 is still there, and our support for our students, our staff, and students still exists. Our goal hasn't changed. Our continuation of learning is providing the opportunities for students to be successful and to keep learning. We're seeing and hearing a lot of positive feedback, and parents are doing a great job with their children. We continue to remind parents to reach out to their child's teachers with any questions or concerns. This is a new adventure for everyone and one that no one had asked for. Parents seem to understand that we're making adjustments and adapting on the fly, and the staff appreciates their partnerships that they have with the families they work with. We've also shared with the board some of the highlights from staff that were shared with us. At the same time, we remain grounded in our core work. We're consistently focused on our multi-year learning plan. Principals are regular meeting with their teams and staffs. Teacher PLCs, professional learning communities, are meeting weekly. The core teams meet daily, or our core team meets daily, and our continuation of learning team went from every day now to Tuesdays and Thursdays. The virtual meetings continue almost daily, it seems, with CISA, WASDA, WASB, and others as we continue to stay up to date on the ever-changing environment and directives that are issued. I'm very proud of our administrative team for not only the plans and the implementation that's taken place, but the pushback people are able to have with each other. The pushback is constructive and in conjunction with assuming the positive. No one takes any pushback or alternative point of view personally. Everyone is present, listening, and paying attention as we meet and discuss the different options and the pros and cons regarding the decisions or the processes that we either make or put in place. We're also able to put our egos aside and work collaboratively for decisions that are in the best interest of our district and students. Just as an FYI, we were talking about this last week as an administrative core team. There are quite a few of our administrators from our district who have been contacted by schools from across the state, as well as the DPI asking questions such as, how are we able to get our school nurses to put together such a great video for kids? How were we able to get agreement on doing screenings for anyone entering our buildings? How did we decide to carry out our communication plan? Because I'm certain you all know that there was no one person that just sat and made these decisions in isolation, or they were not made in a vacuum, but as a collaborative team where everyone has a voice and everyone respects and listens to each other's input. The decisions, or the discussions rather, are rich and educational for all of us. The goal is to make the best decisions or process possible for the benefit of our students, parents, staff, and community. A recent example that was shared is the letter grades versus pass-fail format for the fourth quarter. This conversation lasted over 2 weeks, and everyone's voice was heard. In the end, the team unanimously agreed that it was the best direction at this time to move forward with the pass-fail format. Currently, we're beginning discussions around summer school and the possibility it could be done virtually. I'm not saying it is, it's just a possibility, and we're planning for all scenarios. We'll be entering round 3 coming up now regarding the creating of learning packets for our pre-K through second grade students. That'll begin next week. And it's the third time we'll have gone through that creation of those learning packets. It doesn't seem this time is going by fairly quickly. We're also engaging in conversations around the idea of how to address our graduation ceremony if the stay-at-home rules are still in place. We have a formal meeting coming up internally with high school staff on Thursday. We've also reached out to outside entities as well for input and ideas. I have some data I want to share. First is about food service, and this data covers the last 14 days of our continuation of learning. So it doesn't include today's food service data, but our student deliveries, we had 70 deliveries on the first day that we had the virtual learning on March 23rd. On April 9th, we had 162. That's a 131% increase in student deliveries from 70 to 162. Pickups of lunches and breakfast at the WLC, when on March 23rd, we had 62 students getting lunches and breakfast picked up. April 9th, 96. That's a 55% increase. High school pickups of meals went from 63 on the 23rd of March to 110 on April 9th. That's 75% increase. So the total students receiving meals went from on March 23rd, 195 to on April 9th, 368. That's an 89% increase over that 14-day period, and we're pretty impressed and proud of our food service staff for what they've been able to do, as well as Go Right Way in their efforts to do those deliveries. Total meals given out on March 23rd were 390. On April 9th, were 763. That's a 96% increase over those 14 days. We have served our food service staff over those 14 days over 8,000 meals, over 8,074 as of April 9th. The total meals that Go Right Way has delivered over these 14 days has been 3,394. The second grade remote learning packets delivered this past week, which was the second round, included 4 vehicles that Go Right Way ran with 2 drivers per vehicle. They traveled, according to Lee when he shared out the other day, 8 miles of routes, going up long driveways, and some of the drivers are getting chased by dogs. But they all completed the delivery of these learning packets by 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday of last week, April 7th. Some interesting technology data that we want to share as well. We're waiting on some the high school numbers, but it's pretty impressive from the other 3 buildings. Students with no technology access are 0. We have 0 students in the CEC and chain, 0 students in the WLC, that's grades 3 and 4. That's not including yet the early childhood through second grade, because there was a decision made early on in this process that they would not be included in the remote learning. However, that may change down the road. But right now, as far as 3rd and 4th graders are concerned, who are set up with the virtual format, 0 students have no technology. The middle school, 0 students have no technology. And we're waiting to get feedback from the high school in regards to what the status is. How many have 0 access or no access? So that's a lot of good news. Today I was on a video meeting with a variety of superintendents from around the state with Mike Thompson, who's one of the big shots at the DPI. And I just want to kind of share this. The admin team and the board is hearing this at the same time as any community members that may be watching. The governor's office that was shared with us understands our concerns of not knowing if we return to our buildings or not this school year. And we were told that a decision will be coming soon. It could be as soon as this week on Friday. If not soon, I don't know what the definition of soon is, but that was shared. I know there's a lot of talk and concern about summer school. There is currently a public hearing around the administrative rule to expand the grades for reimbursement for virtual summer school. So that's good news. This will expand so that all grade levels get covered for reimbursement for summer school if we have to do it virtually. It's currently at a scope statement at this time. That's what's called. It's a scope statement, then it goes to a public hearing before it gets enacted on by legislation. The COVID-19 state legislation that's out there right now, you already know there's a suspension on the testing. That's waived. The report card for the fall has been waived. However, this is something new that I just learned today. There will be a comprehensive reporting requirement that will come out this fall, that all districts in our state will need to report to the DPI. And we don't know what it looks like yet. Mike Thompson said it's not even created yet, but it will become part of the record this fall of what we have to do. And it'll be around questions having to do with how districts responded to the pandemic. And some of the questions will be such as, did we do virtual instruction? If we did, what grade levels? And what % of the curriculum was provided? What we provided during summer school? What challenges did we face? Who and how many people got laid off? What monies weren't spent? What additional costs were expended that were unexpected? So I'm told it's comprehensive. It's be a lot more comprehensive than these simple questions. But we don't know any more other than that it'll be something that we have to complete in the fall. And then the DPI will present that a full report to the state legislature on January 1. Also, the CARES dollars from the feds that'll be coming to the states and then eventually into the school districts will be handled through the Title I formula. So there will be some educational flexibility, and the DPI will get waivers for individual districts to grant waivers to carry over some of the monies from our title programs more than we previously were able to. But we don't know any more than that at this point. You may have seen this in the news. The university system recently announced changes in admissions for the new students coming in this fall that were impacted by the pandemic. They will be lacking, some of them possibly with their SAT or ACT scores, and they will not become an admission factor. They also announced the cancellation of different campus events that will be coming up between now and June 30th. So if anybody wants to read the tea leaves, if they're already making these plans, I would anticipate some of these things will be trickling into public K-12 sector. The WIA has basically been silent in a hold still pattern, but we found out that they do have a meeting coming up next week on Tuesday the 21st. That's a week from today, where they'll be discussing options for the remainder of the athletic season, the spring season, plus discussing possible guidelines regarding summer sports contact. There were numerous districts today that shared that they want to seek a waiver, and this was interesting. Numerous districts shared in that meeting today that they want to seek a waiver from the DPI to start earlier than September 1 in order to have flexibility if this virus spills into later in the fall with another wave, so that they would have a buffer of instructional hours. As the school district of Waupaca, administratively, we haven't gone to that point because we feel pretty confident in what we're doing right now as far as remote learning is concerned. And the remote learning is currently covering us for instructional hours. The waiver that we'll be seeing later on in this meeting as an agenda item in a public hearing has to do with that week after spring break, when we worked collaboratively with staff without students for those 5 days. That's the time that we're looking for the waiver from the instructional hours, not the amount of time that we're doing with our students in virtual learning. So I don't know if the school district of Waupaca would be doing some of the things that some of the districts expressed today on my video conference, but I just share it as I found it interesting. Mike Thompson stated, and I quote, "How districts provide schooling into the future will change because of this pandemic." I found that interesting because as a core team, we are starting to talk about that into the future, whether we're under safe at home orders or not. How districts provide schooling will change because of this pandemic, and more will become available, what that all means, I guess. We were told to be prepared if districts are not able to come back in August. I know we have our staff coming back in August, and we have different professional development opportunities available for staff at that time with institutes. So I guess they're just trying to set the stage to start thinking on how that will look and have alternative plans in place. Also, be prepared that the social distancing rules may prevent fall sports from happening. I don't know if that's how it'll go, but that's what the DPI is starting to tell school districts. John Bales, who's the executive director of WASDA, which is the Wisconsin Association of School District Administrators, stated today on that call that his communications with the State Department of Health and Human Services tells him that they are seeing no evidence that we will be returning to our buildings in May. Of course, as I said it earlier on, we are waiting for the governor's direction in regards to that. We are planning at this time if we do come back, and we're also making alternative plans if we do not come back. Finally, there was also discussion about school districts leading the preparedness planning on how to gradually begin to release a return to the buildings once we're allowed to do that. I think the consensus of what I'm hearing from different agencies and also talking internally as well, that we need to come up with some creation of guidelines on how we would do a gradual release back into the school environment once these sanctions, I guess you could call them, are lifted. And then how to address the parents that will still possibly refuse to send their students to the buildings at that time. That's a real possibility that we're considering, and we've talked a little bit about internally, and we'll continue to talk about addressing that. Also, I just want to read a brief press release that came this afternoon from the Wisconsin Department of Health and Human Services. This was forwarded to me from our head nurse, Jamie, and it just states, according to the model created by DHS, Wisconsin was projected to have 22,000 infections by April 8th, which would have ultimately resulted in somewhere between 440 and 1,500 deaths. Since numbers were based on projected significant exponential growth in positive cases, or these numbers were on exponential growth in positive cases. However, since the Safer at Home order, there has been a decrease in exponential growth in the number of cases. Wisconsin's rate of doubling of infection was projected to be, was 3.4 days in early March. So our doubling of infection in early March was 3.4 days. Over the past 2 weeks, the rate of doubling is now approximately 12 days. So I guess that the social distancing has significantly delayed that doubling rate of infections. Here's a quote: "Without effective treatments or a vaccine, the only way to slow the spread of COVID-19 is through non-pharmaceutical interventions that help us maintain physical distancing." End of quote. That's said by our chief medical officer and state epidemiologist, Dr. Ryan Westergaard. He also said the Safer at Home order has been our main intervention in Wisconsin, and we are beginning to see the results. Also quoted by our secretary designee, Andrea Palm, she said, "Limiting physical contact between people is our only tool at slowing the spread of the virus, and we will continue to work through our statewide response to develop capacity to implement effective containment strategies across the state. These are critical next steps to prevent a future surge of cases." And just this morning, as we spoke as a COVID-19 continuation of learning team, Jamie Trzebowski said that the county is talking about 3 criteria that will need to be in place for a community to be safe for us to start to return to business as normal. And those 3 include a rapid resulting testing occurring in our county, which we currently don't have. And that could involve machines to do those tests. The second is PPEs or personal protection devices. That supply chain has to open up, which currently is not in place. We know firsthand we've tried to get a lot of those PPEs and we are not able to. And the third is for our DHS to be able to do contact tracing. And contact tracing is those individuals who are diagnosed with the virus where they trace back who they had been in contact with. So those are the three things that we were told, and it sounds like that's in alignment with CDC and what the state is saying. I just share that because it's pertinent at this time. I know I only budgeted 5 minutes. I'm going well beyond that, and I apologize just because of the nature of what the information is today. One of my last items that I want to share before I end this report is that there is a potential, folks, and I'm excited about this, for a shared grant writer to be split between the school district of Waupaca, the city of Waupaca, and the Chamber of Commerce through the businesses. Tim Neville from our community is wanting to fund the grant writer position to be split between these three organizations this upcoming year. However, that means that our three organizations would have to cover the costs in future years. So Aaron Jensen from the city, Terry Schultz, the executive director of our chamber, and I met last week on Friday to begin the process of seeing and looking at how we could make this work. Before we bring this to the board for any formal, this is just kind of like an FYI. I just wanted to share that because this is pretty powerful information and news. We've got to get a lot of things worked out. We started that process and we'll continue meeting to go through what needs to be worked out. And I'm not going to go through all the details, but our admin team, mainly just right now at this point, our core team has had preliminary conversations about this too. Finally, one other thing, I've been having conversations with Steve and the core team. We may be tapping on your shoulders, board, to have a board retreat. We want to start the strategic planning process that we probably should have started weeks ago, and for a variety of reasons, I don't have to explain, we have not been able to get on our calendar, but tentatively right now, it's not officially a date yet, but tentatively, if you could, we're considering as a soft date Friday, April 24th at 9:30. But we will get more information out this week and next in regards to that. And that's all I have unless anybody has any questions.
Are there any questions at this point?
There may not be any, but thank you for that information.
You're welcome, Steve. Sandy made a comment in chat. The time for the strategic planning, tentatively, Sandy, just want to make that clear. We'll follow up to get that written in stone. 9:30 on Friday, April 24th at 9:30 in the morning. First, we got to make sure that we get a quorum and administratively we get our ducks in a row. We've got some work to do to get prepared for that first meeting. And we're also considering the possibility of having some outside facilitation and consult to help guide us so that we're doing it right as well. And that way it'll allow us to, as an administrative team, to be full partners in the process instead of leading and contributing at the same time.
Any other questions? Hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on to monitoring, and that is the college and career readiness, the Waupaca ACP.
Yeah, we've got Mr. Steve Tomaszewski here, who is the leader of this, and put together a nice PowerPoint for you. And I'm just going to turn it over to Steve.
Good evening, everyone. I want to first of all thank and recognize all the hard work of all the previous CT coordinators in the district and all the ACP work that's been done not only by our ACP team, but by our counselors. I especially want to thank Jen Erb, Jeff Dolsky, Bill Stork, and Julie Castabucky for their hard work. Waupaca has a strong CTE program and also has a really strong start on their ACP process. Now I just want to share a few items with you on this. And on here, we start with our ACP highlights that have happened already this year. We had 137 students in 8th grade that attended the job fair that's put on over there. And they also had the 8th grade students that attended the elective fair that was hosted by 36 of our high school students that go over there and talk to our middle school students. We also had 165 sophomores attend the 6th annual Heavy Metals Tour. The juniors attended the first ever healthcare tour throughout the city of Waupaca. 21 students attended the educational fair at Marian University, and 12 students attended the Fox Valley Skilled Labor Expo held at Fox Valley Tech in Appleton. We have 81 career military college presentations that have been held at Waupaca Works. The Zello implementation, Zello is a state program that would replace career cruising. So students will carry this with them from basically first grade all the way through 12th grade and into college, where it helps them identify their careers and their paths and their goals. This will become a bigger part of our school as they start to register in here. We start to print their diplomas from there, and this is how they'll actually do their FAFSA going forward. So we actually had 2,271 students log into Zello, and we've also had 4 staff trainings on these. We also have 15, hold on a second. We also have 15 dual credit courses with Fox Valley Technical College, and we have 2 advanced standing courses. And then there's links that are provided in here for you to see what those look like. We also had 2 OSHA trained students. We also finished 2 CDL students that prefer to Fox Valley Technical College right here in our own backyard of Waupaca where the truck was kept. We had 6 CNA students that were also scheduled for spring, and now we have 6 more that are on hold right now because of the spring break and the current situation we have. Right now, we'll be finishing 30 youth apprenticeship students from this school year. Last year, we had 33. We're also finishing 34 work experience students this year versus the 21 from last year. Some of this had to do with some number shifting, as you see that our work experience went up. Some of those were youth apprenticeship students that had to be placed in work experience, do some hours, and some changes of work that they had weren't going to get the hours in youth apprenticeship. As you can see, we've had 26 students that have received UW Stevens Point Express admission. We had 52 students accepted into Fox Valley Technical College. We also have 5 military-bound students currently. The next part on here is the goals. So as an ACP team, we came up with some career-based learning benchmarks at each grade level that we'll be rolling out to our staff, that they'll know what we're looking for in our ACP in each one of those areas. So they'll be able to help out their students and plan what this looks like in their lessons. CTE, these cover the following areas, which is our family computer science, technology education, computer science, ag science, business. Middle school, we had some through Perkins this year. What we did is we upgraded one of the saws at the middle school. So now they have the same safe equipment as at the high school. We upgraded the planer blades here at the high school so you can hear across the entire room, which I know Mr. Coger was very excited when we had those put in. We got 2 new gas stoves that replaced the leaking gas stoves that we had in our family consumer science areas, and still were able to continue to do our dual credit thanks to Fox Valley Tech. We got some diagnostic tools in auto, and we also had the manufacturing grant that was able to allow us to get the new CNC mill and lathe in the manufacturing area. New this year also, we brought the Certiport testing, which is a national certification in AutoCAD and Inventor. We also continue to work on the Comet House, which is a great partnership with Blanker Construction. The middle school career fair was once again a huge success, and all of you have been at the Master Chef, so we want to thank all of you for being those judges. On the next couple pages, as we'll just kind of scroll through, is you'll see our students in action in our courses in CTE, and be able to see some of the cool things that they've done, and some of the places and some of the things that they're currently doing, and how we had them on social media, the people we have come and working with our students, and and some of the career fairs and learning opportunities they had. And with that, that's all I have for you.
Okay, thank you very much. We apologize, there's a little lag between the presentation here and what's popping up on the screen. We'll see if we can perfect that as time goes on, but thank you very much for your report. Okay, next item is board reports, upcoming meetings. Ron, do you want to cover those?
Sure. We've got a couple of upcoming meetings that you're aware of. We had a placeholder the first Monday of every month. The next one coming up is May 4th for the school board and the CEC Governance Council retreat at 11. We canceled last month because of the COVID-19. We're hoping that we can do that this coming May. And the focus is going to be to increase our collective knowledge of what's in our current charter school contract. And I'm going to try to put that together for a presentation. And then, of course, our regular board meeting for the month of May is on the 12th, the third Tuesday at 5:15. Any questions on that?
Nope.
The organizational meeting is something that we have to set that isn't on our upcoming meeting list yet. And if I'm understanding correctly, at least I know in my own experience, we always did it on that last Monday of April. So we're contemplating, we're looking for input from you for Monday, April 27th. And I guess the time would be whatever would be the best for the board. You know, we could do a morning, we could do an afternoon, or we could do an evening. But it's the reorganizational meeting where you establish your committees and elect the officers and that type of thing.
Does that date look okay for everyone?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Hey, Mark said
Yes.
yes. Sandy, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Sandy says,
And Dale says yes.
Dale and-
Betty says yes.
Okay, looks like that should be good. Let's plan on that.
What time, Steve?
Pardon?
What time do you want it? Want it in the morning, afternoon?
As long as it's not too early, Betty, you're okay with morning?
You know, I'm being a teacher now, so I'm up and at 'em.
What works with your
So,
teaching staff?
I could, like 1 o'clock would be great.
Okay, well, unless we hear differently as to any problems with 1 o'clock, let's put that down. We'll confirm that with everyone. All right, unofficial election results. I don't think we have to spend a lot of time with that. There were 2 people running, and both were elected.
That's correct.
As far as we know, they'll be official on, we have to wait till the 27th or something? No.
The canvas, we did the canvas today, Carol and Linda and I.
Okay.
So I guess,
You won.
when are we gonna announce that, Betty? You know?
I don't know. I believe that Carol will send out the final tally things. I know they were all signed today, so I don't know what the protocol is for that, but congratulations to Pat and Steve. Yay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you gotta wait 3 days, I believe.
Congratulations, Steve.
Oh, 3 days, I guess she said. Yes, it would be Thursday.
Just so you know, it
Because-
appears unofficially you had 2 write-ins competing against.
Yes. Yes.
This year, actually, they were very legitimate. We usually get a Mickey Mouse or 2 in there, but,
Yeah. No, this was legit.
yep. Okay, Thursday, I believe, is when we can make those, official. And we will do
Tuesday or
so
Friday, yeah.
Thursday or Friday. Okay, Building and Grounds Committee, Mr. Hackett.
Okay, good. Hi. We had a meeting on the 30th, And we discussed quite a few things, but we did 3 recommendations for the board. And the first one was the middle school roof repair or replace. And Carl was really on the ball and got some good quotes here. A motion was made and second to make a recommendation to the full board at the next regular board meeting to approve the roof replacement proposal from Wiener Roofing in the amount of $87,794 for the labor, and from ABC Supply Incorporated in the amount of $66,000 for the construction material, for a total of $153,974. The motion carried on a unanimous vote.
Okay, thank you. That being a motion from committee, it does not need a second. Is there any discussion? There being none, roll call?
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Betty Mannion,
Yes.
Pat,
Aye.
Mark Polbisky,
Aye.
Wendy Robinson,
Yes.
Dale Belt,
Yes.
Steve Johnson.
Yes, thank you very much.
The next item was approval of a new maintenance building, and a motion was made and seconded to make a recommendation to the full board at the next regular board meeting to seek approval to negotiate the sale of a lot number 3 on Columbia Street and 10th Street in Waupaca. The motion carried on a unanimous vote.
Okay, that being a committee recommendation, it needs no second. Is there any discussion? Okay, and to be clear, it's not actually the approval of the new maintenance building. It's the sale of the property, and any proceeds would go to designated capital for the potential of a new maintenance building.
Correct.
Correct? Okay. With that, roll call?
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Betty Mannion,
Yes.
Pat Bear,
Aye.
Polbisky,
Aye.
Robinson,
Yes.
Dale Belt,
Yes.
Steve Johnson.
Yes. Okay.
We have one more motion, and the motion was made and seconded to make a recommendation to the full board to pay for the new maintenance facility by approving the use of Capital Projects Fund 49 Sale of Assets and Fund 41 Capital Project Tax Levy, and a portion of the district maintenance construction budget not to exceed $50,000. A future date to be determined pending the sale of lot number 3, with the understanding that the project will not proceed unless it has full funding. The motion was carried and was passed unanimously.
Okay, that being a committee recommendation, it needs no second. Any discussion? Roll call?
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Betty Mannion,
Yes.
Pat Bear,
Aye.
Wendy Robinson,
Yes.
Dale Belt,
Yes.
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well.
We heard you, but it kind of got moved in with others, Mark, I think.
Yeah.
Or I thought I heard you. Okay, Steve, anything else at this point?
That was all I had.
Okay, did you have anything on the April 9th committee meeting, any of that you wanted to go
I
over?
did
I'm sorry?
I did not have anything to bring.
Okay. So those committee minutes are available for the board and the attachments. With that, we'll go on to the policy committee. Mr. Fair?
Okay, the policy committee met on April the 6th for about an hour. The discussion centered around advertising and the commercial use of the facilities. We had quite a lengthy discussion. We presently have a board policy 850 on sales and solicitations on school property that we decided at this present time we would keep. We would use that policy for the present time without any changes. We had quite a discussion on the Neola policy 9700.01, but at this point in time, the committee decided that we are not going to make any recommendation, and so we're going to continue with policy 850 as it's currently in place, and we adjourned after about an hour of discussion. So we have no action items at this time.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Any questions for the policy committee? There being none, we'll move on to item F, administration.
So we have this annual item. Not every year it's annual. It just depends on how things go. I believe last year, the board acted on letters of intent. And again, administration is looking to get permission to send out the letters of intent of employment to our teachers so that they know that they have a job secured here next year. We cross-checked the list, and the list attached is accurate. So the names reflect the teachers that will receive a contract for the 2020-2021 school year, barring any unforeseen circumstances. And the recommendation is that you move to approve teacher contracts as presented and attached.
Do I have a motion?
So moved, Pat.
Motion by Mr. Fair. Is there a second?
Second, Sandy.
Second by Sandy Robinson. Any discussion? Hearing
Ron, is this, wait, 1 second, Steve, is this a part of our packet now? Because I didn't see anything on there before, but this is in there now?
It is, yes, Dale.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want a moment to be able to say it, Dale? Before I call the question?
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
I just have one question. So I'm just assuming that the list is not changed at all, minus the people who are retired.
Yes, the people who are retiring or their contracts have expired, or if they resigned, their names are not on that list. Mark, you're right.
Other questions or comments? There being none, roll call.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Betty Mannion,
Yes,
Pat Fair,
Aye.
Mark Polzinski,
Yes.
Sandy Robinson,
Yes.
Bill Belt,
Yes,
Steve Johnson.
Yes.
One question.
Yes, Pat.
I just wanted to ask Ron, has the information that we just voted on gone out to our teaching staff?
Not yet. I mean, they know they have a job, but as far as that it's official, that won't happen until tomorrow morning. I think Carolyn, Colleen, and Sandy have this all in the queue waiting for the board to approve this, and then they're going to push it out tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, summer IT crew hours and pay.
Yeah, this is another annual item that we have. We're looking at hiring up to 4 students to help the technology department and summer technology work. Will we need it? I don't know, but we just want that approval right now. The possibility exists that we will. The rate of pay is $10 per hour, and we're looking at not exceeding 838 hours. So the recommendation is that we could hire up to 4 student technology workers for the 2020 summer, work with the technology department to ready the district technology for 2021. The pay rate of $10 per hour and the total hours worked not to exceed 838 hours for this upcoming summer.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we hire 4 students for this summer at the rate of $10 per an hour, which will not exceed 838 hours.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second, Pat.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
I was just wondering if we shouldn't say, we shouldn't be saying, we'll hire 4, we potentially could. But I think the motion was made that said we will hire.
Up to 4.
Yeah, and it's possible that we may not hire any. It just
Right.
is going to depend on where we're at.
So, to Steve's point, are you okay with amending the motion to say we may hire?
Yes,
We will. Okay,
we may hire up to 4.
does the second still stand?
Yes.
Okay, motion and second. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Betty Mannion,
Yes,
Pat Claire,
Yes.
Michael Lindsay,
Yes.
Sandy Robinson,
Yes.
Dale Belt,
Yes.
Steve Johnson.
Yes. Thank you very much. With that, we go on to public hearing on request for DPI waivers pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 118.38 due to the COVID-19 public health emergency for instruction hours and educator effectiveness.
Yeah, this is part of the requirement for us to get these 2 waivers. To add to a regular meeting agenda or any kind of meeting agenda, actually, this item. As I look at the 21 people participating in this meeting, there's nobody right now that I'm aware of in our commons area where we had it opened up in case people who couldn't watch or call in could come. So, and do comments. We anticipated there would be none, but for open meeting law purposes, we had to prepare just in case there were some. And I'm not seeing anybody in our list other than the administrative team members and board members.
There's no one in the comments.
And Steve just confirmed there is no one in the commons. So I don't think there's any time that we have to hold this agenda item for the public hearing, just that there is an opportunity for people to have that ability to comment. Is there anybody online that wants to comment one way or the other in regards to these 2 waivers?
Hearing none, we'll move forward. So we basically have 2
Separate motions.
two separate requests for or motions. Is there a motion to approve request for DPI waiver due to the COVID-19 public health emergency for instructional hours and submittal of the request to the DPI?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Dave. Who was that second? I'm sorry.
Steve?
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call?
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Betty Mannion,
yes,
Pat Claire,
Aye.
Michael Lindsay,
Aye.
Sandy Robinson,
Yes.
Dale Belt,
Yes.
Steve Johnson.
Yes. Okay, then we'd also be looking for the second motion, which would be approving the request for the DPI waiver due to the COVID-19 public health emergency for educator effectiveness and submittal of the request to the DPI.
So moved.
Motion by Dale,
Second.
second by Betty. Any discussion?
I have a question. So the teachers that had already been started on their educator effectiveness, it was their cycle this year. Will they just continue to next if we come back, or when we
Yeah.
come back?
Yeah, you're right, Dale. An overwhelming majority are all just going to continue what we're doing. If there were any teachers that wanted to not have this year count, they can do that, and they're working with their administrator in regards to that. But the overwhelming majority are all finishing up this year like they would have normally.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Would you do the roll call?
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Betty Mannion,
This is roll call. Betty?
Yes.
Pat Fair,
Aye.
Mark Pazinski,
Yes.
Sandy Robinson,
Yes.
Dale Fowl,
Yes.
Steve Johnson.
Yes. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Carl has one thing to share.
Carl has a comment before we
Treasurer's
take motion.
Yeah, before we approve the consent agenda, on the budget to actual comparison form that Sandy Robinson was actually excellent in getting this to the board. Early on, we noticed, well, not early on, but in the first few months, we realized that it was not pulling correctly. It was literally subtracting the budget with the expenses. So it was reducing the budget. And so we basically reformulated all those months and basically worked out the tweaks in our technological issues with Skyward, and now it's pulling correctly. So just so you know, that was the reason for that. It was pulling our budget, subtracting our budget, which it shouldn't.
Okay, very good. Thank you. With that, is there? Sandy said, thank you very much for explaining this, Carl. Okay, with that, is there a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Second with Sandy?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, I'm sorry, roll call, please.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Betty Mannion,
Yes.
Pat Fair,
Aye.
Aye.
Sandy Robinson,
Yes.
Dale Fowl,
Yes.
Steve Johnson.
Yes. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we
Motion to adjourn
Okay, we
or
have
second.
two people motioning, so apparently at least two people want to be done. Motion by Steve, second by Sandy.
Perfect.
Roll call.
Steve Hackett,
Aye.
Betty Mannion,
Yes.
Fair,
Aye.
Mark Pazinski,
You betcha.
Sandy Robinson,
Yes.
Dale Fowl,
Yes.
Steve Johnson.
Yes, I thank you all for taking the time this evening, as well as the time you take to prepare for these meetings. A big, huge thank you to the administration and our teachers, as well as our support groups. If anybody is following on Facebook, you did see meals being distributed by an Easter bunny on Friday, I believe it was, over at the WLC. Thank you to everyone for everything you're doing. We are adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.